Do you know what happens when you feel unmotivated and completely just not feeling it when it comes to a YouTube video? You gotta do other stuff. In this case, I'm feeding my chickens. Yeah, see? You're always the one to come greet me when I open the door. Come on, baby, back up. Nessie, patience. Alright, baby, there you go. Yes, Rockstar. Yeah. Come on. Why are you not closing? Close. Thank you. Alright. Silicone lids like this are just so freaking useful. Oop, I gotta do my nail. Oop. How many we got today? 6. 6 eggs today. Oh boy. If anybody's got egg recipes. So it is wintertime, or very late fall, very early winter, and normally chickens slow down. That's probably not going to happen until December or January. Okay. So that pretty much sums up what my chores have been for the last couple of months now. And it's been nice having them. But you guys want a Techo Kaigi. So let's get into that. Okay, let's get this stack put on the floor. I've been a little bit more conscientious about taking video title cards, I guess is the name of it. I'm trying to be better at that. Oh, welcome back, crew. I know I'm a little bit late this month. Usually I get these out far sooner in November, but it has finally felt like the year 2024 has finally slowed down. So I've been enjoying the not hectic feeling of everything. So not a lot has changed from last year's Techo Kaigi, other than a few things. If you would like to see what those changes are and would like a little bit more of an in-depth look at them, that will be linked in a mid-year review / update. I did that earlier this year. I'll have that linked down in the description. So for those of you who are new and those of you who are returning members of the crew, and it's been a little bit, I know. So let me do a really quick reintroduction of who I am. My name is Evelyn. I am the Evelyn here at CranesHearth. CranesHearth is my homestead. We are in the high Sonoran Desert in Cochise County, Arizona. So I have a very different perspective on quite a few things, including whenever someone goes, "Oh, this gardening book is awesome." Desert. The average feet above sea level here in the county is 4,000 feet. So, and because I am a woman who is working with her husband / partner to build a homestead, I tend to have a very different kind of notebook system going from what a lot of other people might. And we're going to break down what all of that is here in a little bit. And there's going to be some advice along the way. I turned 39 this past summer. I turned 40 this coming summer. So I've been around the block a few times. I might slip into mom mode. You've been warned. You've been warned. So, what all do I do here on the homestead that ends up using babies like these? A variety of things. So obviously, because this makes up the bulk of my videos this year, the number one notebook, or tied for number one notebook in my notebook lineup, is my everyday bullet journal. This is what I'm working in right now. This is my B5 from the Halloween collection from 2023 of our turn Olive. This showed up in the mystery notebook Black Friday sale from last year. And if you've seen that video, you know I squeed. Probably should have put a volume warning on it. But I was very excited. I was very happy to get this. And it ended up working out that I actually moved into this journal in October. So I am not starting a new notebook in January. Doesn't happen. Okay, let me back up here. Earlier in the year, there were a lot of things that happened that affected my mental health in a way that made it very clear that I couldn't keep doing the very bare bones, very practical bullet journal setups. And I ended up just playing. I was playing so much. I actually started playing around with making my spreads more fun and pretty. And my mental health responded positively. At which point I went, okay, we're going to keep doing that. Now, because I am a homesteader and every penny counts, like I could give you guys a dozen things that need fixed right now. So while I do have quite a few notebooks, still a few from the mystery notebooks from that Black Friday sale, including a few more right here that are in B5 that I ordered this year because I was like, I want that design, but they're out of the A5. You know what? Let's get some B5s. That way I've got a little bit of size variance. But I will have over half of this notebook come January 1st left. It is highly wasteful if I were to just chuck this into the journal bin and start a brand new notebook. Can't do it. Cannot do it. So I don't know how many more months after January will fit in here. Just because, I'll show you guys real quick. January is literally at almost the halfway mark right there. And I plan on giving myself plenty of time and permission to play. Because that's what I've been doing since I think probably about February, is just playing. Either February or March. Now, one of the things that did change was me realizing that 8x8 dot grid and me don't get along for an everyday bullet journal. I do want to try again in an 8x8, but I want to use it as a long form journal. Just because I feel like that would actually be more in line with what I use my notebooks for. A5 and B5, and I have bullet journaled in an A6. That was one of my first bullet journal videos ever. Wasn't a great one, but I would like to think I've got a little bit better at these. But I like doing the A6s. I like the A5s. I like the B5s. Traveler's notebook. not for an everyday bullet journal for me. However, as we get into this, you will see at least 2 traveler's notebooks, and I will explain what I've been using them for and why I absolutely love that size for that particular application. But we're not quite done yet with my everyday bullet journal. So my everyday bullet journal has a couple of pages right here that I had done because I was just brainstorming what I wanted to do for 2025. It's all in pencil. Because once I got done writing everything down, I was like, I am not erasing this and writing it a second time. So part of what is in this separation at the end of December, beginning of January stuff is lessons of 2024. Things like, if a notebook doesn't feel right, don't force it. Revamping your system can happen at any time, especially if it's not working anymore. If it's September and you find yourself realizing you need to be in something like a happy planner, hop into the happy planner. Don't fight it, because if you do, you're just going to make yourself miserable, which is why I hopped into blank dot grids in a size that was comfortable. Another one of the lessons that I learned this year was healing and recovery are not mutually exclusive, but they're also not mutually inclusive, and they're not straight lines. Here in the past year and a half, 2 years, I have lost 3 family members. And here this year alone, I've had 3 or 4 friends / adopted family pass away. Which is part of the reason why the videos here on the channel have just kind of decreased to bullet journal spreads and bullet journal setups, because that has actually felt like an investment of my time that has been worth investing in when it comes to videos. And they've been fun. They've been very pleasant for me to go back and watch as I'm editing and talking to you guys while the video is playing in the little corner thing down in the corner. It's actually been fun. Now in 2025, we're going to be playing around in spreads in the everyday bullet journal. And one of those spreads that's getting added is a diet tracker. Like I said a little bit earlier, I turned 40 next year. I am premenopausal as far as it's been determined. And I need to keep a little bit better track of my diet. I need to keep track of what my body likes and what my body doesn't like. A large number of my female friends, as they've gotten older, they can't have nightshade anymore. No tomatoes, no potatoes, nothing like that. Which makes me sad, because I love tomatoes. I love potatoes. And I very much hope that I don't lose the ability to eat those. Because, and I'm going to be showing my Midwest roots here with this, a tomato sandwich on plain white bread with a little bit of mayo, maybe a slice of cheese. You got to make sure it's a slightly strong tasting cheese, like a provolone or a Munster, is just, mwah. Just, I'm going to be including in my everyday bullet journal possibly full moon carb pulls. Now, I am a pagan. I do try to keep that as much out of the videos as I can outside of the chit chats, or if it pops up and it's relevant in a way inside of a video, it might pop up. But I've been thinking about a way that I might be able to incorporate my own personal practice into my everyday bullet journal a little bit more. And we're still thinking on that. I haven't fully committed to that yet. I haven't decided if I like the idea yet. I don't know. There's going to be a half-page spread or a full-page spread, depending on journal size, for the garden. The garden is constantly evolving here over the winter. My husband and I are hoping to expand it by another couple of feet and throw more dirt in it. We actually frosted earlier this month, and I lost everything except my rosemary, which, come to find out, rosemary if the branches are really low to the ground and you've been watering it constantly, it'll sprout roots out of that branch. So my rosemary plant had babies. I've got one inside the house. I gave one to my neighbor, and I still have 2 more cuttings I could take off of this rosemary to save, because it is a dream of mine to have alongside my fence several nice, big, healthy rosemary bushes, because they are gorgeous when they get into a bigger size. When they bloom, oh my god, they're so beautiful. And being able to walk out my front door and pick rosemary whenever the heck I want, just the idea delights me to no end. About the same with if I can ever find native sage. I would absolutely love to be able to have a patch of native sage. It would probably frustrate my neighbors because the seeds like to blow away in the wind, and I'm just sitting here going, I am going to be keeping track of what my ovarian rebellion does, aka my period, a little bit better. Like when I start having my cravings, the date that I need to start increasing my iron and my protein, my water. For those of you who do not have periods, cramping when you are dehydrated is a rotten experience. It's gotten to the point now where when I can feel it coming on, I go drink a half pint of pickled dill juice and the water bottle gets refilled, and I'm drinking probably 3 and 4 water bottles, about 32-ounce water bottle as it sets in. That has made a huge difference. That has made a huge difference. I'm not going to lie about that. And various other things I'm also going to be keeping track of, like how long did I need to use a water bottle for, how many days in a row, things like that. There's going to be a homestead brain dump spread that's getting added, because there are a lot of things that need done on the homestead, but they are multi-day, multi-week, multi-month kind of things. And a lot of times I'll think of them when I'm in the middle of something else. So brain dumping that stuff, having a space specifically, for that stuff is extremely important for the coming year. Now, a lot of these are things that I should have been tracking in the first place, but let me tell you something. One of the biggest lessons this year has been changing my language and how I talk to myself. I am not stupid, okay? I know I am not stupid. I know I am not an idiot. There's just been other things that have been a higher priority. I am slow to catch on. That doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean I'm stupid. So things like the ovarian rebellion tracker dashboard, should have probably had that a few years ago. At the beginning of every journal from here on out, there's going to be a vehicle maintenance tracker that will exist on one of the first couple of pages in a journal for the life of the journal. We have a car, a truck, and a motorcycle, plus a couple other vehicles that we are working on trying to bring back up online, and keeping track of what the cost of repairs for them is, their oil changes, the tire rotations, and all of that. Kind of important. And that was one of those things that I realized earlier in the year and had written down somewhere else, and then I misplaced said sticky note. I'm going to be playing around with a 1 line a day spread. Sorry, I had to cough. I'm going to be playing around with where'd it go? A poetry/writing prompts page. And starting in 2025, I am going to be having very deliberately put down a weekly reset checklist, because it was another lesson that I learned this year, that if I don't take at least one day a week to do what I want, what I need, I will find myself on a day where I really don't need things to shut down and me just not get anything done against my will. If you don't take time off, your body and your mind are going to make you take time off. So one day a week, I've got deliberately set aside now. My time, I do what I need, I do what I want. I have me time. And that was a very long lesson to learn. But there are also a few other things, like in my long-terms collection journal, which we'll look at here in a little bit. There's a couple of things I'm going to be playing around in there. Like a selfie at the beginning of each month with a few stats and a brief couple of paragraphs about whatever it is that's on my mind. I've never done something like that before, and there are people out there who have done like take a picture of yourself every single day kind of things. That's a little too self-centered feeling for me personally, so I'm doing one at the beginning of every month. And it's going to be interesting looking back at the end of next year at those 12 pages, I think. So, everyday bullet journal, tied for the number one thing that I use here on the homestead in my notebook system. Now, I've looked at a lot of planners. I just don't feel the same kind of commitment to a planner that I do my everyday bullet journal, because my everyday bullet journal, when I'm setting it up and I'm using it, that gives me creative time that I wouldn't necessarily get with a planner. So, all right, which one of these do I want to get into next? Ugh. How about the one? Well, this is just going to be the example of it. You guys don't get to see the inside of these. I never show these setups because they are my long form journals. And this is a traveler's journal. I am actually really liking journaling in a dot grid. Let me show you guys an example here real quick. Because it's not just, like stereotypical up and down like this. With the dot grid, I can play and journal this way. With the dot grids, I can go across both pages. So I'm a little torn about whether or not I'm going to end up back in a lined journal again, but the other end of this shelf here, let me show you guys real quick, if I can get it to turn without causing. Starting at about here, going that way, those are all lined journals. So I have a lot of journals. I have friends who will gift me journals that are lined, and I want to use these. I want to use them up. Not getting rid of them. I want to use them up. But this is the second most used journal here on the homestead for me personally. Without journaling every single day, if I miss a day, I feel all sorts of out of sorts. Discombobulated, disjointed, just blah. Don't like it. But this is fully decorated. Here's another journal. We'll get into this one next because it's what I grabbed. In case you guys are wondering about what happens when a fully decorated Archer and Olive Traveler Size journal. There you go. That's how much it bulks up. It's a lot. I don't know how long a traveler size and a long form is going to last me, so that's going to be an interesting thing. But that's the second notebook that I use. And there are some days where, you know, I fill a page with just the main things to hit on the day, like what the weather was like, what the cats did, what the dogs did, how many eggs the chickens laid. You know, hits and highlights. Other days I will fill 8, 9 pages because I've been able to grab the end of a mental tangle and pull, and it just comes all the way undone. And it is really satisfying when I'm able to just take care of a mental tangle like that. It is the most wonderful feeling in the world. So this one, another Travelers, another one from that Black Friday thing. This is my hobby journal. I say hobby journal, I should probably actually call it my yarn journal. When I get done with crochet projects, almost all of them, she says as she's looking at her desk, I crocheted a doily. It is this wonderful robin eggs blue. It's on my desk. You guys probably saw it in the background in my last bullet journal video. You'll see it again in the next one. I didn't get a picture of that taken and put in here. Right, I'm just going to put this on the desk to try to remind myself to do that once we get done here. But my knitting projects, my crochet projects, my sewing projects, when they're done, I usually have a page started in here for them. I will take a picture of the project and I will print it off, and I'll put it in here along with my thoughts, the crochet hook size that I used, the needle size that I used, the materials. And it's actually been really satisfying because now I've actually got a physical record of everything that I've been making. And I've been crocheting for a really long time. My mom taught me when I was 5, and then a few years later taught me how to read a pattern. So I've been crocheting for almost 30 years. I really wish I had taken pictures of so many projects. I have a record of it now, but I can't claim credit for this idea. The idea for this actually came from the crochet journal that Creative Minds Coffee Grinds has. She showed that journal, I think, at the end of last year, like the completed one. And I just went, well, I know what's missing from my lineup. So this has been very pleasant to have. Obviously, this is not an everyday notebook, but it has been, this size for that kind of thing has been perfect. I absolutely love that size for that. I'm going to set that there because the desk is behind you guys today. All right. Now, we're going to talk real quick, really briefly about these two. You guys remember this one from the last Techo Kaigi? This is the Homestead Projects notebook. This is where the action plans for our 1, 3, and 5-year goals are going to be going into. Those things I don't share on YouTube just because those are my problems, not your guys's. Now, I might show you guys what it looks like at the end, like each step that we took and how we broke it down. Might not, but this particular notebook, he and I sit down with at the end and beginning, at the end of every quarter and at the beginning of every year, and we start prioritizing, okay, we're going to do this. Chickens were a priority for this year, which is why when my neighbor asked me if I wanted to help her out with stuff, because she's been here for a few years longer than I have, and she has got very active gardens and whatnot, I jumped on it. And in exchange for a lot of the work I had done previously, a lot of the work I'm doing in the future, that's why I now have 6 hens and a rooster, like you guys saw at the beginning of the video. Those were part of my pay. And in case you guys are wondering, they don't lay, all 6 of them do not lay every single day. My average per day, once you break it down, is 5 eggs a day. And in the month of October, when I had all of them, they laid 150 eggs in total for the entire month of October. I might need to start a recipe notebook. This lovely plain green one, another one that had popped up in that box from Black Friday last year. This is the love letter journal between me and my husband. Another idea that I yoinked from Coffee Mind's Creative Grinds. Creative Minds Coffee Grinds? I just missed. I'll have her channel linked down below. Don't worry about it. Be right back. Drink break. And I think her partner actually uses the journal. My partner just reads it and then comes and talks to me. Because I'll write out letters to him and he'll come talk to me about what was in it, and we'll sit and talk for hours on end sometimes. It's been a very wonderful bonding experience. So, all right. Now, the next two are included in the mid-year review, mid-year update video I will have linked down in the description that I did earlier this year. But real quick, if you don't want to go check that one out, this was the quarterly notebook. Ripped those pages out because the quarterly notebook was not working out. I realized that the quarterly pages should be incorporated into my annual financial notebook, which also underwent an overhaul. This is my period tracker notebook, and it is very simply set up. We've got the year right here, and we've got the months right here. This side is going to contain a summary of my symptoms, how long my period was, and any irregularities that may or may not pop up. Like I said earlier, I am premenopausal, and keeping track of that stuff is kind of important. So, ladies, if you do not have a separate notebook for your period tracker, I'm going to highly recommend it. Because if you got it in your 6-month bullet journal, that's not going to give you a very big window of information. So consider having it all in one notebook. That way you have it in front of you and you can easily compare year against year. Because I have noticed a little bit of a pattern with my cycle as the days get shorter. And that's just, it has a tendency of being more, my cold sensitivity when my period kicks in tends to go into overdrive in the fall. It is miserable. And I do mean miserable. Now, the other one is the financial notebook. This one, let me see if I can't cautiously show you guys something. Yeah, okay. I got a couple things I can show you guys without giving too much away. Do the gas bill. So in here, I have got the bill, the year, and then the amounts. And let me tell you guys something. The day that I am able to get paid by YouTube for their ads, to even be able to pay for my gas bill, I will probably be giddy as all hell and will be insufferable probably for a good month. And in case you're wondering why I'm using the gas bill and not something like my power bill, my gas bill is an average of $32. Yes, I would be happy if I made $32 off of YouTube. I'm not... I don't expect to ever make money off of YouTube, but if I do, I expect it to be in amounts like that. So once we got into about July, the second half of the year, I realized I needed to start tracking our spending a little bit more. So in order to do that, I have things broken up like this. Let's see if I can't show you guys a little bit closer. We've got categories, and we have it by week. Because if you don't do it by week, and you do something like this, where you've got it color-coded, it gets far too granular. Far too granular. So there is something to be said for tracking every little thing every now and again, but there's also something to be said for backing off on that tracking. And in case you're curious about what the categories are that I track: fuel, eating out, entertainment, bills. I tend to list Amazon and the post office as separate things because we tend to rely on Amazon given how far out we are. The post office, because the post office is our cheapest shipping option around here when we want to send somebody something. We keep track of our groceries. We keep track of the motorcycle costs. We keep track of car costs. And we keep track of homestead costs. Things like the chicken feed, supplies to fix the chicken coop should it develop some kind of weird hole, heat lamp, things like that. So there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Roughly 15 categories. Some of the categories, obviously, I'm not going to be telling you guys what are because that's just a little too personal. But so yeah, this is a Mint Gardener 192 page, and this got revamped, and I did this back in June. So this is going to last me several years, which is what I want. Another notebook that we're still using here at the house that I did not grab because I completely forgot about it because I only get into it a couple times a month is the House Diary. The House Diary is a B5 size notebook where we track what the weather did, what the temperatures were, so that we've got an analog record of what it looks like from year to year, and highlights in each of the months. Like in the first day of October, I brought home 2 more hens. That got written down on the House Diary. So for those of you who are in the military or have been a part of the military, yes, that the House Diary is based off of the concept of a unit diary. This was my husband's suggestion. The next 2 are a little bit more in depth. So if you're still with me, you might want to pause real quick, go grab something to drink, stand up, stretch, do all that fun stuff. I'm going to take another drink break myself real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. I love being able to pause filming. So the next notebook we're going to get into here, if I can get everything cleaned up a little bit, is my reading journal. I do think I talked about some of what I'm going to say here in the reading journal video. I'll have it linked down below. But I didn't read anything in the second quarter and for a good chunk of the third quarter. But third quarter, I actually gave myself time to read. And then I got my tablet. And then I got Kindle downloaded on it. And then I got Kindle Unlimited because they were running an offer of the first 3 months for free. And my husband told me at least 2 books a month. That's it. Oh boy, is it going to be really easy to read 2 books a month. So this has been getting fuller. I was hoping to show you guys from where I picked back up on reading, to where the current spread is, but that's not going to work out because it's kind of all over the place. So, okay. But, I decorated the last 3 months as a quarterly spread. And come to find out, I'm not the only person who's had this idea for their reading journal. The channel Journal Away, linked down below, also does a quarterly reading journal. And I found that I'm finding I really like this concept of a quarterly reading journal, because of setting it up quarterly, because a lot less pressure. So if you guys have watched any of my previous reading journal videos, you know I don't have trackers. I just write about my notebook, write in the journal about the book. And I actually prefer that. So I've got about that much left. And I don't know how much more full this journal's going to get, because, I still have the rest of November and December, and I've been reading quite a bit, actually. And we might be starting a brand new notebook in January for the reading journal. I'm not going to promise anything on that, just because it just honestly depends on how much more I fill up of this notebook. But one never knows. I might get into a reading kick, and next thing I know, the notebook is almost completely full and I barely have space for even one more book. Now, why do I have so much? Why does that happen? Let me show you real quick. Now, the following book title that you might be able to glimpse is a pagan title. So just be warned. The main thing about my reading journal that I've had to teach myself is that it doesn't matter if it's a book dealing with my faith. It doesn't matter if it's books talking about historical events. If it is a book that causes me to go 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, basically 5 pages of notes and thoughts, that's a good book. And it's a book that I'm going to be writing down and doing what I can in. And realizing that I did not have to limit myself to 1 page or 2 page for my bullet journal setups, or not my bullet journal, my reading journal setups, was highly liberating. Because, if I'm going to talk about a book, I want to talk about it. I don't want to just summarize my thoughts. So, for those of you who have been trying to make your bullet journals pretty and aesthetic, but they've been unsatisfying, maybe you're not allowing yourself enough space. So it might sound like I'm slipping into mom mode here. You do not have to read what everyone is talking about. ACOTAR. So many people have talked about that book. I made it 2 chapters. I don't see what everyone saw. It didn't feel like it was a well-written story. It didn't even feel like an engaging story. And I'm sorry, but if you can't hold me through the first 2 chapters, let alone the first 5, no. I'm not even going to give the book the decency of writing it down. And there's a very good chance that the author is going to join a new spread that I'm going to incorporate into my yearly spreads for my reading journal, and that is the blacklisted authors. I gotta enjoy it. I need to forget that time is passing. And ACOTAR did not do that. So, if you don't see the appeal in a book, you're not obligated to read it, baby. Okay? Which is why I've got things on my want to read again list, my list of Little Women. I want to reread all of the Jane Austens. I want to reread several of my homesteading books from Miss Jackie Clay. I want to, you get, here, hold on. You got all my crochet books here. And then this is the sci-fi shelf. We don't have a lot of science fiction, but my husband did ask me if it was all right if we put them in here in the studio, because I'm the one who reaches for science fiction more often. Reread some of these. Because I enjoyed them the first time around. I know I will enjoy them again. And when it comes to like reading older books, don't be afraid to talk about that. Those older books are what the newer books are standing on the shoulders of. If it weren't for those authors, there's a very good chance none of the people who are popular as authors these days would have even attempted writing. So, if you like reading the classics, honey, there ain't no shame in that. None. Now, I just mentioned one of the spreads. Let's talk about the spreads that we're going to be seeing in my reading journal at the beginning of the year spreads. First one being that I mentioned to you guys, blacklisted authors. Second one will be books that are going to be joining my physical library. There won't be many, but the ones that I'm like, no, I need a physical copy of this, not a Kindle copy. I'm going to be writing those down. Third one, I have a lot of friends who are incredibly avid readers. One of them, that's his hobby. That's his downtime. He is reading a book every 3 days. And he's always sharing the books that he likes. So every 2 to 3 days, he's posting a new cover, and I'm like, ooh, cool. So I'm going to be having a yearly spread of book recommendations. I'm going to have a books I would like to read, as in, okay, these have caught my interest. I want to try to get to these. I want to try to make time for these within all of the other books that are catching my interest. And then there's going to be the books I actually finished spread will be returning. And then, Reading Retreat Day Report. This was something that I heard Joshi Curran talk about in her big reading spread journal video. I'll have that linked down in the description below if you haven't seen it. It is amazing. She did a great job on it. She mentioned reading retreat days. I immediately texted my husband and went, reading retreat? I got back, bleep yes. What snacks do we need? So, and that is actually going to be, there's going to be 2 places where the reading retreat days are going to be showing up. Reports, as in they'll be in the reading journal, and I will be talking about how many books I got into, some of the things that popped up in our conversation. It's just going to be a report. In the everyday bullet journal, it will be a dashboard spread where I list out the snacks we want to get, the books I want to focus on, what time we start, what's the day it's on, and that kind of thing. So, and that is the reading journal. This is going to be staying in the lineup. This is going to be not as frequent as what some people's reading journal videos are, but you guys will be getting to see the reading journal content at least once a quarter. At least once a quarter. I'm enjoying my reading journal a little too much at this point to just stop. Hold on. So this is this butterfly chair was our first piece of furniture. 11 years ago when my husband and I moved in together. We were very broke. The next notebook, and this one I've actually been working in quite a bit here recently just because it's felt right. That would be my long-terms collection notebook. This puppy has evolved. A lot of people use their long-terms collection notebook for swatches, for collections that they want to look at throughout the year and not just have to move them when they move into a new bullet journal. Bucket list, tourist list. This list here is all the places within an hour drive of where I live that I can take friends and family if they want to be tourists. We've got bucket list. You know, a lot of people put their challenges in. Swatches. Woo. But mine started to morph. Mine ended up with mental health breakthroughs that I had. I have a decent amount of traumatic shit that has happened in my past, from choosing friends and lovers poorly. Let's just put it that way. And my husband is incredibly supportive as I am working through dealing with all of those scars, all of those still open wounds. Yeah, I tend to call things like what can be associated with that scars and open wounds. And my open wounds just haven't had the right kind of stitching, the right stitches, or the right medicine yet. And my husband is incredibly supportive as I worked through all of that. My long-term collection journal started catching. This is where I started putting that stuff when I would have a breakthrough. When I would need self-care ideas for the hard days. That was a spread that needed to go into the long-term collection. Birthdays. Give me a second. I started playing around with spreads and what those might look like in an A5 or even just in a B5, just sized up. I do have a swatch page for all of my Sakura jelly rolls because I want to have them all. You know, washi tape collection. A year of planning. Oh, I fell off the wagon with the year of planning stuff. I need to dig through this list and do some spreads. Then the journal kind of morphed a little bit more. The long-term collection journal, because I started realizing that the long-term collection journal could serve me a little bit better. It could work a little bit better if I started putting things in it like journal prompts. And I've got several pages now of journal prompts in this journal because that is my long-term collection journal. It's something I can look at for inspiration, for help in getting unstuck when I want to journal in my long-form journal for a few days. Well, a few pages, a few days. Well, depending on the topic, you might get a few days out of it. But I've also included spots for my themes. Took all the lessons that are in the big B5 and put them in here. Because the B5, once it's full, it's going to go into the bin with the rest of the other notebooks. My long-term collection those notebooks actually stay out. And I also in here was just brainstorming a little bit about other things that I want to track, like my water intake, writing, time spent reading every day. I'd like to track that a little bit. I did a breakdown of everything within the different dashboards that I'm tracking for 2025. And then, I've got my 2025 master list. Threw some journaling exercises in here. More journal prompts. And then also here in the long-term collection is the homestead goals, the 1, the 3, and the 5. And you guys don't get to see those, but I ended up realizing that my long-term collection journal needed to, I needed to let it morph. So I did. It's now far more useful to me, more versatile. And I guess you could say it's more like a commonplace book now, but I don't see it that way. It's more of a long-term collections journal for me. Give me a moment to stop and think if I'm forgetting anything. Well, there's my magical journal that is associated with my magical practice, but you guys don't need to be seeing that. I think that's everything. You guys can see my pen collection up here, my sticky note collection, Crayola Super Tips, Sakura Jelly Rolls, Palette G207s, colored pencils. I think I've pretty much settled down when it comes to my pens. The Pilot G207s, the Sakura Jelly Rolls, and the Crayola Super Tips, and my colored pencils there pretty much serve all of my pen and coloring needs, which I am very appreciative. I have a little bit more stationery that's getting added to my stash that I'll be ordering on Amazon here soon. But outside of that, there's not really going to be much stationery added because 2025 is going to be a year of shop my stash. That does not mean that I have been good and not buying things, because I have been bolstering my stash a little bit here as 2024 comes to a close. Maybe I'll be less naughty about that in 2026. But, so fun stats for you guys when it comes to the long form journals. I've been in 1, 2, 3, freaking that, 4. This one makes 5. I will probably be in a total of 6 long form journals. That's how many journals I go through when it comes to the long form. That's how many thoughts I've had to get out of my head. In terms of bullet journal, counting the blackout that was at the beginning of the year rolled over, the 1 month in the 8x8, we had 2 A5s before the B5. So I've been in 5 bullet journals this year. And yeah. So that is what this homesteader uses to help keep her household, herself, and her homestead managed. Now, you guys will probably see at least one of these journals here pop up either in April or March, depending on how hectic January and February end up being. But I have not decided yet what my next one after the B5 is going to be yet. Mostly because I don't need to yet. So, I think that's everything for this Techo Kaigi, guys. Crew, it is always so good when y'all stop in and say hi. It is so good to see you, no matter how much time you're able to spend. Either way, thank you for sharing your time with me today. Hug your loved ones tight. Take care of yourself. Okay? I mean it. Looking at you. Yeah, you. Take care of yourself. Okay? And I will catch you guys in the next video, which at this rate looks like it's going to be the December bullet journal video. Be sure to look for that before Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving and Black Friday this week are in the last week of November, or this month are in the last week of the month. So be sure to look for that before Thanksgiving, okay? I am not going to be doing anything for Vlogmas. I have never done anything for Vlogmas, so don't expect that. All right, you guys. I'll see you in the next video, whatever it ends up being. Bye for now.